Welcome to one more edition of Politics and Rad. I'm Berto Willis, your host. I'm here with Madison Paige. Madison is the co-founder and CEO of Bold Blue Campaigns. And Madison's going to tell us about her hour with what's going on in Madison and a little bit about her about Bold Blue Campaigns. Madison, tell me what's happening in Wisconsin.
Well, today, Wisconsin had their primary. And one of the things that they have been trying to do, people on the ground, we're in the middle of a global pandemic. And people have been saying, we've got all the experts saying we need to practice social isolation. We need to practice, distancing and self-isolation. And people who are there in the state who are concerned about the possible health implications of people showing up in massive polls have said, we need to put this election off. We need to postpone it. And many other states have done that. A lot of other jurisdictions have decided to postpone their primaries. Wisconsin did not. They sent out some vote by mail ballots, and unfortunately, they did not arrive on time to people. The Supreme Court just yesterday made a decision that they would not allow vote by mail ballots to be counted if they arrive after the Tuesday election. One of the big problems is that in Milwaukee, they went from having over 300 polling stations to now less than 10 polling stations for the entire city. So what we're talking about is an incredible public health crisis where people are congregating in order to exercise their right to vote. This is not only disenfranchisement, but it's also a willful disregard for public health.
Now, Wisconsin now has a Democratic governor who attempted to do the right thing. The Supreme Court in Wisconsin, as I understand it, they went against the government. The Supreme Court, the federal courts then said they gave them more time, and then it went to the Supreme Court, and by a 5-4 vote, they overturned the lower court justice. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. And again, this is one very, very important reason. One thing I just really want to say, not only is it important who we elect at the federal level, because these Supreme Court justices obviously are biased and they're creating these, they want to support, they were appointed by Republicans. But even in our state courts, the Wisconsin Supreme Court did the right thing. They understood the implications. And the governor tried to do the right thing. The governor also appointed the DHS secretary, but she has not been confirmed by the Republican-controlled Wisconsin legislature. It really matters, not only who is president, but who is governor, who is mayor. Those things really, really matter. Because mayors all over the state of Wisconsin have been urging the secretary to postpone the election. All of these mayors are saying this is a threat to public health. We don't want our citizens to be standing in close quarters to, even if it is to exercise a franchise. Let's postpone this election.
I don't know how you feel about this, but because I don't know, even within the Democratic Party, I don't know what side of the aisle you are on per se, but I felt like the DNC themselves weren't really urging the stoppage of these different elections either, which I think is problematic because it goes against everything Democrats should believe in.
I absolutely agree with you. I think there's a failure of leadership right now at the Democratic National Committee level. I think we ought to be pushing very hard for absolute mandatory vote by mail for this cycle. We have a big problem. We are in the midst of a global pandemic. And in the United States, this pandemic is not controlled well, in part because of failure of leadership in the White House. The Democratic Party, the number one job of the Democratic Party is to ensure that the Democrats get elected. Right now, we are facing a situation where there should be a lot more leadership happening. We should be saying, look, let's get people signed up for vote by mail. Let's push in whatever channels are necessary to make sure that people will have the opportunity to exercise their franchise come November, because we don't know where we're going to be 6 months from now with this pandemic. And what is inevitably going to happen is, if we are not in a better place 6 months from now, there'll be a panic in 4 months, and people will say, "Oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do?" It's time to think ahead. It's time to understand how things are working and to think ahead and to take the steps that are necessary. I am very disappointed that I don't see more leadership on this issue than I do right now.
And that is interesting because you're correct. Nancy Pelosi came out and said that within this fourth stimulus bill, they're going to try to put vote by mail into the bill. We'll see if that really comes to pass. But as far as the leadership is concerned, I don't. You talk about leadership. I agree with you, but also what I see missing a lot is a sense of urgency.
Yes.
It's as if these folks don't understand that voting is within 6 months or
Yeah.
so. We are already in April. And
Right.
when we talk about something like your company, Bold Blue Campaigns, there's something that you said earlier off before we came online that I think is very concerning. And when you stated that, well, the people that you are working with, helping their campaigns, you guys have to decide how you're going to campaign now, because it's not going door to door anymore.
Yeah. We have over 500,000 elected positions that come up in a cycle every year or two. These are local campaigns, city commissioners, school board candidates, judges, mayors, police chiefs, state legislative representatives, state senate candidates. These candidates in these campaigns usually are not the ones that are buying, doing a $10 million ad buy to run their campaigns. They're knocking on doors and they're meeting people out in their communities. And all of that has to stop now. Democrats have to understand that not only for years have we failed to support these smaller campaigns, which is what we do at Bold Blue, but in this new environment of coronavirus, where these campaigns are even more crippled, they're going to be more crippled financially, they're going to be more crippled in terms of outreach. We actually have to act decisively now. We've got to come up with actionable solutions, because the elections are going to happen. And what we can't afford to do is to cede more territory to a Republican Party that has demonstrated itself to be evil, irresponsible, and incompetent.
No, Madison, I just interviewed Nabila Islam. She is running in Georgia. And there's yet another problem with these independent candidates, and it is that one of the reasons she had to stop a whole portion of her campaign is that also she was left without health insurance. And especially with Corona, she cannot do anything going forward as far as electing. So she's doing a full-fledged social media campaign, email campaign, and have surrogates all over the place, where I think it's sort of kind of the work that you guys do at Bold Blue Campaigns as well.
Yeah, we have actually, how do we advise our candidates now, right? How do we help them run their campaigns now? And we've actually made the decision to expand what we do for them, because we recognize that they're going to be even more constrained by the limitations, financial limitations, as well as the limitations imposed by the coronavirus pandemic. We are so lucky that we and so fortunate and grateful for the grassroots support that we get, which allows us to be able to offset costs to candidates and campaigns. So, but we're actually expanding what we do for them, because they're going to need it. They're going to need the help, and we feel like if they're going to be on the ballot, they should get help. One thing that we are working on actively with candidates and campaigns, a lot of them get on the ballot by signature. That's something that can't be done anymore. So what we're working with a lot of candidates and campaigns, talking to state elections offices, is alternate methods of being able to qualify for a ballot through signatures. We can't just go out and get people to sign a paper anymore. So we're working with a couple of elections offices to see if there are some alternatives that can be implemented, so that our candidates can actually get on the ballot in the way that with the signatures.
Now, are you finding any of those right now? Do they have sort of online methods of doing that now or not?
A lot of these elections offices are, frankly, way behind the curve electronically, and and I don't think that any of them really anticipated. I can't really blame them per se. I mean, a signature is not usually something that's difficult, right? You go out into the community, you have people sign
It's
to
a
get
blood
you on
and
the ballot.
flesh and blood kind of a thing. Yeah, it
We
actually
often
makes you go meet people.
Exactly. I mean, we actually recommend that our candidates do this so that they can get out into the community, even if they can afford to pay the fee to get on the ballot. We just prefer that they go out and meet people because it's a great way to begin your campaign. However, a lot of the systems just don't exist. Now, the technology exists to do legal signatures, right? Virtually, but most of the offices are not set up to do that right now. So this is, again, coronavirus is presenting a lot of challenges to candidates, to campaigns, to politics. And we have to be able to be flexible enough to make these changes while we continue to make sure that the democratic process is happening. This is why I'm so disappointed by what's happening in Wisconsin. Complete inflexibility with respect to the public health crisis that we're facing, and the fact that there are going to be hundreds of people today exposed unnecessarily to this deadly virus.
And this in effect, what the Supreme Court did, what the Republican Party in Wisconsin did, what the Supreme Court in Wisconsin did, is going to be voluntary manslaughter sanctioned by state. It sounds harsh, but they know that by having more people exposed than they needed to for the vote when there were alternative methods, that could have been mitigated. So,
Yeah.
Madison Paige, you are absolutely right in that statement. Give me a little closing statement before we go here. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about what Bold Blue campaigns are all about, and we'll go from there. You think they're going to have a Netroots this year?
I don't think they're going to be able to do that. I think any gathering of more than any gathering of people together is just really too risky. And if I know liberals and progressives, we care about listening to the science and the experts, and to make sure that we're thinking in terms of what's best for the greater good, right?
Oh, well,
So I
absolutely.
think we'll probably have a virtual Netroots this year.
That's what we may have, because CPAC went ahead and did theirs full-fledged, and a lot of people, including some politicians, ended up with COVID-19. So give me a closer, Madison.
Well, we believe that politics is trickle down doesn't work in economics, and trickle down doesn't work in politics. We believe that if we want to build we want to build the liberal, progressive policies that we want. If we want to create the America that we all envision, we have to start from the bottom. We have to start from the bottom of our school board candidates, our city council candidates, our state legislatures, and build our way up. All of those candidates and campaigns, all of those people are the ones who actually are making the rules and the decisions that affect our lives on a day-to-day basis. And we want to make sure that people are aware that these people are so vitally important. I think people are starting to understand that when they see what's happening in their communities around this coronavirus. They're seeing the power of mayors. They're seeing the power of governors and the people in their communities. Government can work when you put competent people in it who have the right values. And what we try to do is make sure that those people who are running for office, who have those values that we all share, have all the support they need. We're grassroots funded. That keeps costs low for candidates, and it's a passion that we have, and it's a duty, I think, too.
Madison Paige, co-founder and CEO of Bold Blue Campaigns. I'll see you at the next Netroots. You have a wonderful day, and thank you for the interview.
Thank you so much, Egberto. Have a great day.
Take care now. Bye-bye.
Okay.
I'm Egberto Willies, host of Politics Done Right, an independent news program. I post several news videos of interest every day. I ask you so kindly to subscribe to my channel, and please leave me some comments. Thank you very much.